Hello, everybody, and welcome to the South Florida Power BI user group. My name is Adriano da Silva, your host, and today we'll be gathered here for another great presentation. And before we get started, please take a minute. Let us know where are you located at. Let us know if you can hear us well, and let's get ready here. So what do we have here for today? So before we engage in the presentation as well, remember to register to today's giveaway, which is the Machine Learning in Power BI with R and Python book from Pablo Moreno and Gabriel Gomez. And if you remember, Pablo Moreno was here last on the previous presentation, and if you have not seen it, just check out our video list, and I will add to the description if you want to learn about machine learning in Power BI with R and Python. And what else we have here is today's presentation, Power BI Deployment Pipelines by Yogendra. He's going to come here and deliver some amazing information on how to get started, and you will see a lot of live demos. All right, and let's take a quick look here where everybody's located here. All right, and I believe everybody can see loud and clear. Thank you very much, Juan. All right, and just before we get started, one last thing is if you have any questions, remember, use the live chat to enter your questions and comments during the presentation. If the presentation is complete, you can use the comment section after the live webcast. All right then. So let's get Yogendra here for the presentation, and do not forget, like, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be up to date on the latest going on. So without further ado, Yogi. Hello, Yogi. How are you?
Hey everyone. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And nice to see you all of you here. And Arino, thank you so much for giving me this nice platform to talk about my experience and Power BI deployment pipelines.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for making the time to be here with us, sharing the knowledge and bringing some amazing content.
So
Uh, sorry. Go ahead.
can I start that sharing my screen?
Just a second. Yeah, you can share and I will link and present. But before we get started, what I would like to do is ask, where are you located at?
Oh, okay. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware.
All right, so it's Wilmington, Delaware. Let's take a look here real quick and see where are the attendees today at. So if you have not done so, remember, use the live chat, enter your location. And during the presentation, if you have a question, also use the live chat. So let's take a look here real quick. All right. Hello, Uday. And hello, Zenu. And if I mispronounce your name, apologies there. We have Zenu from Portland, Oregon.
Mm.
And we have Juan from Mexico City. There we go. North America, Central America. Wow. Uday from New Zealand. Hello, Uday. Yes, Juan, I will be placing the link to the giveaway in just a minute here. All right. All right. So you're ready to share?
Yep, I'm good to go.
Yogendra? All right. So share, and whenever we start that portion, we'll bring it up. Now, before we get started here with the presentation, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Something very short. I know during the presentation you will share more.
Yep, and okay. Anyway, I was having a one slide for myself. Okay, so I am a Microsoft certified trainer, and I am a Azure solution architect, experts in data and AI technologies. And the new area that I'm exploring how we can integrate Azure Cognitive Services in Power BI. So most probably in next couple of weeks you'll be hearing about those things from me. And with the industry, I'm for more than 16, 17 years. For relaxation, I like to do the social networking, but not the Facebook one. Okay, the real social networking. And I like listen old Bollywood music because uh, you know I like Bollywood music, as I'm in the state where I have lot of hiking trails. So right currently is not the right time, but I'm waiting for my April or May time frame to start going for hiking. And my habit is learning new skills. So if you say I have not earned the masteries in anything, but I have jack of all trade but master of none. So I always try to learn new skills, implement, share my knowledge up to date in the market. So whatever new trends comes, you can find me there.
Very exciting there. Very good, Yogi. And quite interesting, which lead us to the opportunity to have you here presenting on topic that is, at least for me, is not quite so common out there. So that's very exciting to see that.
Mhm.
And I'm quite sure everyone here is ready to hear from you again. And let's take a look here. See your presentation. You can press F5 on that and make it full screen. All right, so
Uh,
let's get started. You ready?
okay, yep, I'm good.
Awesome. So it's all you here, Yogendra. You can start the full presentation.
Perfect. So thank you so much, guys. I'm expecting everybody can see my screen as we already talk about my background and experience. So please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can see my LinkedIn link here. I'm not very much active on Twitter, but on LinkedIn you can find me. Any questions, anything. You know, I'm delivering this session after like a one and a half month on this topic. But when I deliver last time this topic, I was getting the queries and I was helping clients, other clients across the outside the US as well. How to implement this, what is the benefit. So people like this topic very much. So agenda is going to be today, right? First, we are going to understand what all are the key challenges that we have in related to Power BI, how to use the Power BI at the enterprise level, and if we need to use the Power BI at enterprise scale, then what is the prerequisite? What Microsoft is offering, service called deployment pipeline, and then we will see how we can configure the pipelines, and finally how we can do the partial deployments as well, because sometimes what happens, there is only minor tweaks, and how you can do the partial deployment instead of doing the heavy deployment or bulk deployment. Then I will talk about some troubleshooting steps that I figure learned from my mistakes. And in the last, we will have the Q&A round. So I will finish my slide quickly and then we can go for the hands-on. So we all are using Power BI, but the biggest challenge is in Power BI, we have to keep our data model and UI, everything in the same file. And because of that, what happened, right? Our file start getting heavy. So because data is also inside the Power BI, my design also in the Power BI, and also there is a limitation. If one of my team member is expert in UI designing and another person is expert in DEX, and the person is data modeling, it's hard to use everybody's expertise together because we have only one file in Power BI. So I will share the approach how you can handle this. Once you handle the first one, second one is also addressed. So once you have separate models, then you can reduce the file size as well. And that's the reason, because your file is heavy, always whenever you do the refresh, it takes time to load the data. Also, how you can limit data in Power BI desktop file to speed report development. Because what happened, right? If you have really like a 10 millions record and everything is coming to your report, it's hard to mm, work, because whenever you make any changes, calculation takes time to perform that logic. How can I limit the amount of data in Power BI desktop file to make report construction go faster? And how to expedite report publish process, reduce report downtime as well. Because what happened, right, when you have the one file only, your model and data and UI everything together, and if you do the report deployment, in that case you have to do your model refresh, and till the time model refresh is happening, your UI report is going to be have hard time to show all the information correctly. So these are the use cases that we have. So first of all, this deployment pipeline is not a normal functionality, it's a premium functionality. Earlier it was only for premium capacity, Power BI premium capacity, but now a couple of months back, Power BI introduced new license type, premium per user. So if you really don't need a premium capacity, but you want to use the premium services, premium per user functionality that you can use. There are licensing differences, so I'm not going to talk about those things, but definitely you can go to visit Microsoft site. But pricing wise, there is a huge difference between premium per user capacity and your premium capacity. Premium per user capacity is $20 per month. But at the same time, if you are going for premium capacity, maybe you are paying 10K or something. Second thing is, to use this functionality, you must be an admin of workspace. You should be an admin of premium per user workspace, and you should have pro license as well. Also, you can have only new workspace. If you have already existing workspace, it's hard to use. Otherwise, you have to do the cleanup and all. Last but not least, as I say, your workspace should be in premium capacity, either premium per user or premium capacity. And finally, know your deployment pipeline 1, 2, 3. So first, you have to create a pipeline, assign the workspace, then develop and test your content, and share with your users. Before we go for that, right, as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to work on one file, multiple users, as Power BI is still moving to new file format. But in the previous file format, there was no possibility. But the new file format, I'm expecting they will have some new functionality. But currently, multiple person cannot work on one file together like normally we do in source control repository check-in checkout. So check-in checkout is pretty much not possible here. This is just look and feel how it looks once you set up the pipeline. So you will have environment for your development, you will have environment for test, and you will have environment for production. This is the Power BI online service. So you will have environment for all three things. Once you complete the setup and you have deployed the file, as you can see, number 1 and number 3 is clearly giving you there is a differences. So right now, number 1 is telling me there is a difference between development and test. So whatever the content and version we have in development is different from test. But The number 3 is telling me my test and production is same. So whatever is running from production, running in production is copied from test environment. So let's go for demo quickly. Before spending much time on this, let's have some hands-on exercise. So as you can see, this is my report. And if I talk about my report size here, so if you can see, my report file is 3573 KB, even though data is less, but it still is 3 MB file. But when are we going to split this? Then let's see what happened, right? Number 1. So this is the file that we have, Power BI file. The purpose for this demo is not to walk through how this file is developed and created, but now we are talking about deployment actually. So as I mentioned initially, right, the current challenge is how 2% can work, right, on one file. So if you go to external tool, there is a website called Power BI, Power BI.tips. You can go to the website. That they are doing very excellent job for us, and they are bringing all the tools together in Power BI tips portal, and you can install everything in one click. So using that, you can find all the tool that I have in my external tools. But if you see Power BI split, this is the file that is going to help me. I'll create a new folder. Demo. And this is my file, as you can see. I just selected my file, and now what this utility do actually, without touching your current file, it will create 2 separate files for you at the same location. I will copy this file into a folder called Fab Demo and select the file from that folder. Now you can see, because I was just trying to modify the same file which is already open, it was giving me hard time. But now, as you can see, using my file where I was having my model and UI both, now it is split it into a model and report file. Now you can see my report file is just a 83 KB. Because what happened, right, normally first we work on data model. Once our model is ready, only UI part is left. So this way, you can, the data model expert team or DEX expert team, they can work here, and the UI expert work in here, right? So we have not 2 separate file. Everybody can work separately. Not only this, once you have model ready, you can publish your model, and UI team can consume that model as a access Power BI dataset. As you can see here, right? This is the option Power BI dataset. So multiple team can consume the same data sets and start working on your UI part. Once they done the UI part, one person can do the merging in one file, but at least this way multiple person can work on the same project at the same time. Using this technique, whatever initial challenges I have told you, everything is going to be addressed. So now we have two files. Let's go to now Power BI service. As you can see, this icon, as you can see this icon, this is a deployment pipeline. So when I go here, as you can see, just for demo, I have removed everything to show you how it looks. So this is how it looks, a deployment pipeline, and it's asking you to create your deployment pipeline. So you just go, but before this, right, if you are not having a premium workspace, in that case, you will not able to see this deployment pipeline. You can be a admin of other non-premium workspace, but until unless you are admin of premium capacity workspace, premium or premium per user capacity workspace, you will not see this option anyhow. So now if I go here and say I want to create a new workspace, create a workspace, and when I'm creating a workspace, if you can see here, I have premium per user license for me. As I have a pro user, pro license, I can use pro workspace as well, but to use this functionality, I need to use premium per user or premium per capacity license, but I do not have the premium per capacity license. So I can use my premium per user license. This is based upon your storage format you can use, but I will leave the default one. And I will say demo dev 001. So okay, so I will say web demo deployment pipeline. Once I go here, as you can see, it's not giving me options because I do not have anything to associate here. And it's doing a very strange behavior here. Maybe I will try to sign out and come back again. Okay. Unfortunately, my licensing having issues. Okay. But if I come back to my PowerPoint slide here, so what happened, right? When you go back here, you will see the option down below here to associate your workspace. And you should have 3 dedicated workspace for each environment. Deployment pipeline is not going to create anything for you like okay, once I say okay, this is my workspace, and it automatically create the, I wish it could, but no, it's not like that. So you have to create the workspace, all 3 workspace one by one, and then associate. And based upon your deployment strategy, you can grant permission to your team members. And then once you deploy the changes here, from here, if I go to this one, let me close this and let me close this file and open my report file now. So as you can see, oh, my report file is not working because now here we have no model. Then what we need to do, we just open the model file. In model file, there is no design. Yes, because both are split now. So what I will do, first I will go and publish my model. Okay, and I will just publish to dev01. Okay, now if I come back here, go to my dev01, I can see my demo fab 2022 model file is here. So first of all, we just need to use the model, so we don't need this file. We can delete the report file because there is no content. Okay, and now if I come back to my Power BI report file, what I can do, I can go and connect to Power BI dataset. And first one is coming the dataset that I need. I can just create the connection and it establish or reconnect everything whatever it was the same way it was earlier. And this is just a one-time activity. You don't need to reconnect every time. One-time connection is done, you're good to go. I will save and publish this file to the same workspace, dev01. So you can see my model file is here, report file is here. So we clearly know. and now we can see everything here. It's simple. So in this, there is no magic. We all know how to publish the report and all, but the trick is how we can split model and UI, and how multiple team members can work on one project at the same time. So this how you can work on the same file, right? Now, similarly, as I connected my data set here, other team member can make the copy of this, and they can start working on the same report file, and parallelly at the same time on model, other team can start working. If I go back to my PowerPoint template, so as you can see, unfortunately my licensing is not working, but as you can see here, so delta is there, right? So when you refresh, you can see the delta is there, and there is an option called deploy to test. You can do the cherry picking, make the selection what you want to deploy, and then you can hit the deploy to test. So what it will do, it will deploy to the test. Once you deploy to test, your testing team can start the testing. QA or testing team can start the testing after the testing is done. If there is bug fixes, then again you go back to the dev, deploy here and move to the test. But let's say assume everything looks fine in test environment, then you can again do the cherry picking from here, select the report and model, and do the deployment to prod. So this way you can deploy to the prod. So this way you are following the proper, change control process, deployment process, and it helps to avoid accidental deployment in production environment. So because your dev team have only permission to deploy in dev workspace, and change team has permission to test in production, so they can only and they can do the deployment only through the tool. So this way you have the safe and secure deployment as well. One next thing is what happened, right? Once you deploy the report, after 1 month changes comes in your UI file only. In that case, you just need to carry your changes of your UI file. You don't need to touch your model file because there is no change in model. If in the traditional approach, you have to deploy the entire file. In that case, what happened, right? You have to refresh your model, but here your model is refreshing, let's example, every day morning, and it takes 1 hour to refresh. And if you're deploying anything in the morning at 10 a.m., you don't need to refresh your model because your model is there and no changes in model. Now let's talk quickly about the partial deployment. I don't know, is there any question? Or I can go ahead. Okay, so as you can see, my cancellation.
There are no questions there.
Okay, awesome.
Yogi, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you can see on this my particular tile, my cancellation percentage is 2 decimal places and it's not rounding. But the requirement came, the business says I want to round this number. In that case, what happened, right? There is no UI change because this value is coming from my formula. But as I am using distributed approach here, model is different is here. I cannot modify my formula until unless I go and say, okay, make my local this one. So what I will do, I will close my UI file and let's make the number same. So it's 3.78. Now what I will do, I will go to my UI model file, and as you can see my calculation formula here, what they're asking for a whole number, not the rounding. So what I will do, I will just modify the formatting here. And if I want to test, what I can do, I can just drag here and say, okay, 4% is coming now. Again, I can delete this for testing. If the expert, the person who is expert in DEX, he is working here, he can use this place as a testing the calculations. But once it's done, what I will do, sorry, I will save this, and then I go to my external tools in ALM toolkit. As you can see, let me just make the connection, and then I can. Okay. Interesting. It's allow me to select, but okay. Okay, unfortunately, again, the licensing is giving me a hard time, but let me walk you through the tool. So what happened, right? This is ALM toolkit, again, Power BI community is doing a great work everywhere. And this is the ALM toolkit, again, developed by community. And here it helps you to compare. As I open this one, as you can see pop up here, difference. So here it can help you to compare your local file and your Power BI service file. And then it can do compare one by one each and everything, all your DEX function. And then if you can see here, select action is saying, okay, select all, or you can say only wherever the changes are there. Then you can validate, so it's verify your changes, and then finally you can update. Once you update, only the particular piece in that case will modify, instead of you deploying the whole your model. Because again, my point is coming back, if your model takes half an hour to refresh, and if you're redeploying your model, in that case you need half an hour to complete the change. But in case of partial deployment, you don't need to wait for half an hour, you just pick the particular measure and deploy. So in that case, this way you can expedite the deployment process, and instead of making the whole and changing the whole deployment model in the Power BI model, only you can do the deploy particular changes. If I come back to my questions, how to expedite, how this, I think I covered pretty much everything here. And now the last question that I wanted to cover, if I come back to my report file here, So using parameter, using parameter, there is a, when you go to model, there is a functionality called native query. So using native query, you can trim your data, so you can get only limited data, so you can easily work in your model, prepare a report, and once you deploy in prod or dev environment, you can update the your parameter value. So after, if you update, so it can pull all the data for you. But this way, at least you can limit your data, because I have faced that issue a lot. Whatever number of records are there, it's bringing everything. So this way, at least you can trim the data. And I'm good with my session now. I've done my agenda, and open for any questions if we have.
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much, Yogendra, to come in and deliver the sessions. It's quite interesting there to see the different approach that can be used for the implementation here, for the deployment, and see the capabilities for the team to now leverage the opportunity to you have the a team working on the data modeling, a team working on the visualization part, and nonetheless, once the model is prepared and can be made available, then all they have to do, they have a capability to leverage that until all the visualizations are ready, via data sets. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell a bit more about that approach? How have you seen, and is it working well? What are your thoughts on it?
So I'm working in Power BI for last 6-7 years, and this functionality get introduced roughly, I will say, 7 to 8 months back, and since then I am using this functionality. Okay, and I'm like very much, actually, because it's a, it gives the confidence, especially when your team is managing the deployment, because always there is a risk of deployment in the wrong workspace. But this way you are not directly touching your production and test environment.
Definitely, and that's quite interesting there how it can actually be set up. In the dynamics it provides, and I think the most important and interesting for me is that hey, it can also be used as an exploration way because of the way the data can be made available to as a data set to
Yes,
others out there. You
exactly.
know,
So other teams can also leverage and they can start working.
exactly. Yeah. Now, folks, let us know. Please use the live chat window here. Enter your questions to Yogi over here on Power BI deployment. So, what else we saw here, Yogendra, that was interesting, in your opinion, there that you feel it's a great way to optimize the time for the teams as they are deploying there?
So as I mentioned, right, the first approach is divide your model and UI. Okay, and second is first define how much really data you need to start working on your requirement, because there can be 2 millions of data, but do you really need the data?
Very good point.
Because what happened, right, all this slow down your development part, actually.
Indeed, indeed. I also see here is, how can I say, as one, prepare shapes and everything, the data itself. Can you show at the beginning? I think you showed a slide that has the squares at the bottom. It shows 1, 2, 3 or ABC. Yes. Can you maximize that there, please? So, folks, in case you couldn't see well at the beginning. Oh, not this. I gotta be like this. So you're able to see now. Uh, it talks about pretty much the pipeline process. I think there may be a message at the beginning of the presentation that was overriding this, but now you can see the full path from creating the pipeline, assign your workspace, develop the content, and then share with users. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 step here to create the deployment pipeline in Power BI. All right. Remember, if you have any questions, use the chat window. If the session has completed, use the comment section, and we will take a look at it. I'll give you guys just another minute here as I answer my questions. Reach out to Yogi to answer some questions that I may have, and I understand some best practices he can recommend. So, and we get set up for the raffle. So don't remember, stick around just a minute. So just to finalize here, can you just review your best practices here? What do you think it makes it simplify the process and optimize time for
Exactly.
deployment?
Yep, exactly. So that's how the approach that I'm using, right? If you use this approach, so first of all, it gives the confidence to you and business how you managing the change, because business expect, okay, my environment is deployment process changes everything safe and secure. You are not doing everything without checking. So this way you follow the process. And also here you have proper governance employees who will be deploying these changes. Yeah,
All right. Yes, I'm just looking at the slide there. Sorry about that.
yeah, that's
Uh, awesome. So so let's take a look at about the questions in just a minute. All right. So who wants says thanks? And then we have a question from Zenu. Normally, who will be responsible for deployment pipelines?
So two things, right? Configuring your Power BI admin team for deployment based upon your team structure. Your operation team can be deployment, or your the change control team. So depending upon your team strategy, but yeah, configuration can be only done by admin team.
So when you say admin team, are we talking about the admin 365 or Power BI admin?
Power BI admin, Power BI administrator, tenant administrator.
Okay. So
They
pretty
can,
much, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, they can make you as a admin, workspace admin. Then definitely you can create your pipelines. But for using this, you don't need to have a workspace admin access. Once pipeline call set up, until unless you have Power BI Pro license, you can use the deployment.
Okay. Can you repeat the last part when you talked about the licensing there, please?
Understand? So for using this functionality, two part, right? One is configuration and second is how to use it. If somebody wants to configure this functionality, he has to have Power BI Pro license and workspace admin permission. And that workspace should be part of Power BI premium capacity or premium per user capacity. Once this pipeline configured, then anybody who has the access to workspace and Power BI Pro license, he can do the deployment.
Okay, so the premium part's only required for a specific step
Configuration.
in the process, right?
Yeah, configuration.
There we go. Yes, configuration. All right. So, and that's, also simplify that makes it possible for streamlining the process and the number of licenses. So if somebody has the personal pro license, can he or she still made available that to others you work with within their team?
No. So pro license dedicated to user actually.
Mhm.
So if you have your license, only you can use it.
I see. All right. So Zenyu, thank you very much there, Yogi. So Zenyu, I think that has been a pretty well-rounded answer here. Let us know if you'll address your questions there.
Yeah, but if you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Okay, and you can follow me there, so you can uh, talk about, and we can talk about my upcoming sessions, Azure Cognitive Services in Power BI.
Yeah. Now, awesome there, Yogi.
Yeah,
Now, Zenyu, he also says that he doesn't know who is the Power BI admin in your organization. You can maybe reach out to someone in your IT group
yeah,
and ask who's in charge of it, or who's in charge of, sorry about that, who's in charge of Azure, or who's in charge of the Power BI itself. And that person will be able to, whoever is the account administrator in your IT team, they will be someone who know who that person is, and because he or she would be the one assigning that role to that person. Is that correct there, Yogi?
yep. So I understand, and which is true statement. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just your statement is true, but I'm following the question actually from Zoom. Agree, but tenant admin has have the access for everything. So let me come back to my screen here quickly, and luckily my permission should work. So if you see here, my admin portal, my workspace, okay, and they manage everything. Who is the owner for the which workspace? They can go to settings and they can get to know who is the owner for this. So if you reach out to your IT support, they can figure out who is the tenant admin, and every admin has the access for everything. So if you can see my screen, everything you can find here.
Excellent, Yogi. There we go, Zenyu. Uh, there we go. So that apparently addressed your question there, Zenyu. Even with great explanation here on the how to find it in within the controls there. All right, folks. With that, if there is, I don't see any more questions here. So, oh, shall we be able? So there's a question from Zenyu. Shall we be able to see who is the Power BI admin in the Power BI service?
You cannot see, and you can only see for the workspace you are having the admin rights, but outside your workspace, only your tenant admin can see.
All right. So you see there, then you yourself need to be the admin. Otherwise, it changes the level for it to for you to see. Need to be at a different level here. Just see that. All right. So all right, great. Glad to hear that. Thank you very much, Yogi, going through the process and getting that question answered.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
So let's start here just for a quick minute. So as we talked about before, we have the book that we will be referring today. right, so we have here the book, The Machine Learning in Power BI with R and Python by Pablo Moreno and Gabriel Gomez. So we will be raffling. Today will be only one, and I have already gotten all the names of those who have entered in the contest here, and we will be uh, awarding here one book. I placed everybody's name here, did a couple of shuffles, so
And
it's nice and sorted.
and guys, last week I was, I think last to last week I was attended this session. Session was very good, and the book has lot of good materials. If you're really interested in this topic, I think you should get this book. So I already have my book, and I'm working on some new examples.
Yes, very, very, how can I say, insightful there.
Yeah,
I really like it, Pablo. And also, as you said, the book and the video session the presentation he did on the previous event, they're really awesome. And one, get a chance to check out the book, definitely, and the session as well.
yeah.
So and thank you there, Yogendra. So let's click to spin and see who will be the winner. And the winner will be receiving an email there, just so they can, get in touch and be able to know who it is. All right, who won? You are the winner. With that, we bring today's session to an end here, and we would like to remind everyone to take a minute, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share this wonderful session here by Yogendra, who took the time to come in, share his knowledge with us, and make it, a great opportunity for the community to be exposed to Power BI, another feature of Power BI. So, any questions? So, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you again, Yogendra, for being here with us. And I see you all, Yogendra.
Thank you. Thanks, Arino, for organizing this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just stay
Yeah.
with us for a minute, and we'll wrap it up
Yep.
real quick.
Yep. I'm here.